Boxing feels hard because you're fighting the wrong battle. Most people think it's about relaxation, conditioning, trying to be faster than the guy in front of you. So you go into sparring trying to put things together and you just get picked apart. You get outpointed, you can't land clean, and the other guy seems like he's always one step ahead of you. And it's frustrating because you're doing everything correctly, but nothing's working. It's like your opponent knows something you don't. I'm gonna tell you in this video what I think that one thing might well be, because I've had the exact same experience and I really found that there's one specific thing that it all comes down to, and that's your ability to use your lead hand. Although this video is about the lead hand, we're gonna start where it actually begins, and that's at the feet. Now, if we want to be good at fencing using our lead hand, then we've got to be good at footwork. If you watch any fencing match, they're constantly shifting forwards and backwards, in and out of range, then out of range, shifting back into range, and trying to score the points. I don't really know how fencing works, but it's exactly the same in boxing, except you just use your lead hand instead of a sword. To be able to move effectively, first you need to go from being flat-footed, which is a problem I always had, to being up on the balls of your feet. Now, I don't want to be rude, but if you're fat, this is going to be hard, right? If you weigh a lot and you're very unathletic, this is going to be pretty difficult for you. So you're going to have a hard time nonetheless. You're going to have to use other attributes. And certainly in amateur boxing, you're probably not going to go too far. You need to be able to bounce light on the balls of your feet. You need to be able to shift your weight in and out, because amateur fights are so much faster paced than, say, the professional fights where you've got like the George Foreman, so you have the ability to literally just stand there, block, move out the way and land heavy shots. You want to be somewhat athletic, and a lot of that comes down to how healthy your fascia is, from the foot to the glute connection. I'm not going to go into all the science shit. So what are you actually doing with your feet? Once you're on the balls of your feet, you're transferring the weight from one foot to the other foot. Okay, so I push off my back foot, transfer my weight to my front foot, and as I do this, naturally I'm going to shift forward slightly. This is where I could either use it as a feint, I could use it to throw a punch, or I could drop my weight, transfer the weight from one foot to the other foot, okay? All on the balls of the feet. As soon as that weight's gone onto that front foot, unless I'm trying to engage further and spring forwards again, because my opponent's gone back, I'm pushing straight off the ball of my front foot to come back out of range again, okay? This is kind of like that bouncy pendulum step you see a lot in Soviet boxing. It's kind of like this, okay? And I can keep a little bounce going and decide when I want to come in. So I can kind of do a small little step there and emphasize one as well. As though I'm coming in, I use it as a feint, not actually come in. This is one of the main parts of fencing, okay? Emphasizing, feinting with the front foot, transferring the weight onto the front foot, dropping the weight, and as we'll get into later, using the lead hand to actually further emphasize those feints to make them actually work and get your opponent to react so you can counter them. That doesn't mean that you have to bounce around for the whole fight. You can stop, you can plant your feet, and you can go back to stepping. You can even switch your style, you can be a little bit more planted. Okay, if you're on the inside, ready to throw, ready to block shots and defend, ready to take angles. But when we're in that long range position where, you know, our opponent's slightly out of range and we're kind of trying to get things going, then again I want to be up on the balls of my feet. And we're using this little pendulum stepping technique, okay, where I'm right on the balls of my feet here, just to adjust the range. It doesn't mean I just have to go one step in every time. I think come out a couple steps, go in, out. Okay, but you can see that I'm pushing off the balls of the feet here. Every time I'm changing direction, I'm moving forwards or backwards. Alright, let's move on from the feet, because I'm sure you probably already know all of that stuff. The next thing we need to know when it comes to the lead hand is, what's our guard position? If we're using the lead hand out in front of us to fence, keep our opponent away from us, then we want both hands in front of our face. We want to increase the amount of lines of defense between our face and our opponent's fists. Okay, so at long range, that means we want something in front of our face. When we're close range, shots can come around the side, it can come up the middle, so that's when we want to be tucked, or we want to be here, or we want to be here, okay? But at long range, we want this hand out in front of us because it puts something in between our opponent and us. And not only that, it shortens the distance for me to land a jab, alright? So if my hand's already here, it's easier for me to land the jab, it's easier for me to defend, it's also easier for me to control my opponent with my lead hand. I can push them down and push them this way, okay? I can keep them away with this hand. You know when you bully your little sibling, maybe not, bully is probably not the right word, but like, you know, hold them away by their head like this. I can't do that to my brother now, he's like this tall, but you know, when they're small, you keep them away with your lead hand. Exactly the same in boxing. I mean, someone's trying to, especially if they're shorter than you, and they're trying to pressure you, you can just keep that lead hand out in front of you and just track where their head goes. Push their head down, push their head to the side, push them that way, push them off balance, push their head back like this. If someone gets their head pushed back like this, they're no longer able to punch you, not even see where you are. They're not on balance, they're all over the place. Alright, so if you can have the ability to use that lead hand and push them back, it's going to make your life a lot easier, it's going to make their life a lot harder. So anyway, we're adopting the longer rear hand in front of the chin, usually palm facing forwards like this. Lead hand out in front of us like this. We want to be on the edge of range, use this lead hand, up and down, circles, and dropping the weight like this. That's how we're feinting with the lead hand. We're putting it in synchronization with the weight drops, the weight transfers in the feet. So what movements do we want to do with that lead hand? Well, one thing my coach at the gym near in Bali always says, Derek, is clean the window. And I think that's a perfect analogy. You see Usyk doing this all the time. He's always doing this little circle here. And as he drops his hand down, he drops his weight like this. Maybe a little step with the front foot, but he squats a little bit like that. Okay, so doing this motion here, boom, boom, boom. Okay, you can't just do it with the hand, but add another little drop in the weight. That's loading up a punch. By dropping your weight is loading the punch, loading the legs, loading the hips, loading the glutes, ready to explode up and throw your shots. Alright, so if you can emphasize that circular feint with your drop, when you drop it down like this, then it just makes them bite a little bit more, makes them curl up, makes them back away, makes them throw, which means that you can counter. Another great way to do this is, I just call it up and down. So we're going up, that's 1 point, default point, that's the 2nd point, and down, that's the 3rd point. And we just switch between those 3 points, there. Okay, and you'll notice just how I was doing with the window cleaning one. I'm dropping my weight when I go down as well. Okay, so that makes, when you go down like this, and you drop your weight, and you feint down like that, it makes it way more effective. It makes it way more convincing that you're going to go to the body, like a jab to the body, because that's the very start of the jab to the body, right? This. Okay, there. Right, exactly how you would go to throw a jab to the body is exactly how you want to mimic that feint. Another feint I really like to use, which is super effective, it's kind of more like an up jab. I guess you can use it in this sort of fencing sort of style, is where you drive off the back foot, like this. Super convincing that you get a jab to head come. Just like that. Just a little drive up on the back foot, face into the front foot, then back to the back. This little transfer of weight to the front foot here, boom, paired with a little twitch of the lead hand. Again, works really well. Gets people reacting, and then you can go boom, 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 and then put a jab behind it. Again, like I said before, your lead hand's out in front of you. It's easier to land your jab here. You can just touch their gloves as a little distraction. You can just wave this hand, just touch like this. Okay, a great thing to do is just touch and then throw a jab straight after. Right, so I always touch a glove and then throw the jab straight after. That touch to the glove just distracts them, makes them think they're out of range, and then I step in with a stiff jab behind it, and that usually lands. Next we've got probing. Again, we just literally leave that hand out there like this, or just touch, and kind of similar to what I was just saying, but just blocking their vision, and block their vision, and then drop it across the body. You can even keep that hand there, and pull it across the body at the same time. Just boom, like that. You can pull their lead hand up or down, clear a path for your rear hand. So imagine I've got an orthodox or a southpaw. I mean, it mainly works against southpaws. Pull their lead hand down, shoot jab over the top, or lead hand down, throw right hand down the middle, or against someone in your own stance. A little bit risky, as long as you take your head off the center line, you should be okay, because their right hand can come over the top, pull their lead hand down, and throw that rear hand over the top. Another great thing you can do, which Foreman used to do, is disguise his rear hand with the lead hand. So you usually just touch the lead hand out and throw the rear hand straight behind it. So it wouldn't be like a normal 1-2, it would be a boom. It would be just like, basically just a 2. And so just touch the jab, and literally as the jab's leaving their face, the right hand's coming straight behind it. So you're hiding it. So you just touch, boom, you're coming straight through with it. So not even like a half beat of a normal 1-2. What's going to make this long range fencing game way more useful is pointing this back foot a little bit more forwards, driving off it a little bit more, using it as a spring to shoot your jab off. But of course, if you're driving off your back foot, your weight's going to come to the front. You need to make sure that you can drive back off your front foot so it comes back. Right, so if you go all the way here and you leave yourself here, then you're going to get countered. Right, so it's a quick little transfer from the back foot to the front foot and back again to stay on the edge of range or just out. You can also use that for the rear hand. Sorry. Driving off the back foot again. Hundreds of different things you can do once you understand this lead hand game, and using the fencing for feints, combining them all together, and again, just using those feints to make a bite so you can counter it. Constantly tripping them, thinking you're going to throw, dropping the weight, using all this lead hand stuff, touching, pulling them down, moving them with this, putting them over here, back on the balls of the feet, constantly moving, trying to get them to bite. Once we get them to bite, then it's made easy. Then we start working hooks to the body, start pressuring them, stay on the back foot if they're like coming forward, so we start counting them as they come in. But again, this is exactly what I used to call default mode until I found the proper name for it, fencing. That's what everyone else says. I used to call it default mode, just the mode that you start in that gets things going. By the way, if you're a beginner boxer and you want direct access to me, my community of boxers, and a structured grading program, then you're welcome to join my online boxing school where I focus purely on ironing out your bad habits and installing a solid foundation of fundamentals. Click the link in the first line of the description to join. Back to the video.